All right, welcome back. This is still the Polity. Well, I apologize there for the breaking transmission. Right now, I'm sitting in the studio with Abia State House of Assembly candidate, pardon me, Anambra House of Assembly candidate for the All Progressive Congress, Mr. Chinedu Onyemesi. Still here to speak on his ambition and what he means for the people of Anambra State and specifically his local government and his constituency, Ninwi. Welcome to the program once again.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So sorry for that breaking transmission. All right, we'll just have to, break it down again quickly. Why are you running to be a House of Assembly member, a legislator in your state?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you. Essentially, my main motivation for joining the race for House of Assembly is to offer my people a robust representation, to help also improve the quality of representation, legislative representation in Anambra State House of Assembly.
All right, so like I said, let's go into what the people of Nnewi and generally people in Anambra State are going through. Some of the things you've heard, some of the things you've seen that you believe your coming into power will make a difference in.
Okay. In Anambra State today, we have the absence of a functional legislative House of Assembly. By that I mean a House of Assembly that does not meet the requirements of the 21st century legislative representation. This is in terms of making robust laws that will reflect or have an impact on the lives of the common people in Anambra State, especially my constituency in Nnewi South 1.
All right. What about the issue of local government autonomy? I know that seems to be a concern of yours. How do you hope to make a difference?
I have 5 legislative agendas. I have 5 points on my legislative agenda.
All right.
I mean, if you take a look at my manifesto for the election, number 1 on that list is local government autonomy. I want to be able to push for a local government that stands on its own, a local government that is able to function on its own. We have not had local government elections in the past 12 to 16 years of governance, of democratic governance in Anambra State. It's merely a governor getting into office and appointing his cronies and OES members as TC chairman who preside over the 21 local governments in Anambra State. And when you go to the local government headquarters or local government premises, you don't need anybody to tell you that this is not working. Nothing is happening here. How then can you make laws, or how then can you have councillors or lawmakers within the local government who are able to do what is right, have an administration in the local government that will help the lives of the people? You can do anything you want to do as a federal government, as a state government, but if you don't have a local government that is functional, you have not done anything. The federal government, the president cannot come and impact on the life of the market woman in the village. The governor certainly cannot do that. But a local government, a functional local government, is able to meet the aspirations of the people within those communities or within those wards in that local government. That is what I want to push for at the State House of Assembly, amongst other agenda.
Right. But I wonder how long has this been an issue? Because I think, when people go down memory lane, wasn't there a time where local governments were working? Has this always been the status quo since the democracy, of Nigeria the democratic system came into place?
To be honest with you, there are a few states in Nigeria where the local governments are really working. That is the truth. I'm not here to malign anybody or speak against anybody. But in Anambra State, I can tell you for free that there has not been local government election in the last 2 administrations before this current administration. There's not been any local government election. I remember under the Labour Party presidential candidate, forms were sold to conduct local government election towards the end of his tenure, but nothing happened. Those elections never held. You're in the media. You would have heard when those candidates or those aspirants were complaining that the forms they bought, elections were not held. They were complaining about it at some point in Anambra State.
All right, I think that's a worthy cause to take up. So let's look at some other issues that are required as a lawmaker. One thing we know is that lawmakers tend to have projects that they undergo with certain funds that they have. What is your approach to empowerment? Within your local government, how would you address that issue? Because in 2023, we still see some of these methods of empowerment that are pretty much the same as what you would see in 1999 or 1996. So what would be different or innovative about how you empower people? I know it's not your primary function, so to speak. You have to make laws and oversight functions, but this is also something that we know lawmakers also partake of. So how would you do that?
Thank you very much. This is another important question. Let me begin by saying that it is never the job of a legislator to give out handouts, carry out projects, or do all these empowerment as you see today in Nigeria, even at the national level. It is never a job of a legislator. And I think this type of this approach of wanting to do everything empowerment, doing all this project, makes the lawmakers not to concentrate on their real job at the assemblies, whether at the national level or at the state level. But then it has become a norm in Nigeria, and partly because as politicians in Nigeria, the people you represent expect so much from you. They expect so much from you, to the extent that if you do not do all those things, all the other politicians and representatives are doing, then you're seen as being unserious. So what can I do in terms of empowerment and all those projects? Is to look at what is happening in my own locality, because local governments are peculiar. They have their peculiar problems. What is happening in might not be what's happening in Idemili. So is to look at what we need in our own locality. I know we have a problem of having a local government that is vibrant in terms of the business and the economy of the local government, is to see how we can raise entrepreneurs within that locality, engage the youths more in terms of entrepreneurship and all those things, to be able to see if those little pockets of jobs can begin to spring up within our local government.
That's fair enough. Now moving over to other issues. Before you get into power, are there, perhaps other than, you've already spoken about local government and rallying support, is there any particular law you are looking towards? I mentioned this in respect to laws that help marginalized persons. We saw the other day in Abia State, a law was passed to get women to inherit properties. I don't know the state of that law, if such exists in Anambra. But what can we expect in terms of, fighting for those who might not be able to fight for themselves, especially due to outdated laws. I mean, in 2023, it really does not make sense for a woman to not be able to own a property or inherit a property. So, in this respect, do you have plans for, these marginalized groups who might not have people to speak for them?
Thank you. In Nigeria, it's a Nigerian problem that women are kind of disadvantaged. Okay, let's take the issue of widows in our own locality, let's say Anambra or even in the southeast. There are widows who have lost their husband, and then people begin to fight them in terms of their properties they are supposed to co-own with their husbands, as it were. So I think perhaps this is time to begin to look at all those areas and make sure that these kinds of people in our society, or this class of people, in terms of widows and women and even children, are protected in our laws. It's part of the plans, but that's among other broad areas that we're looking at.
All right, let's move a little bit now to, party matters. What's your level of, confidence in your chances? You are with the ruling party on the national level, but in Anambra State, the APC, in the last governorship election, the APC came third, and so how do you gauge your chances, knowing that this is a state that is generally seen as, an ABGA state, where they've ruled for a number of years now, over a decade they've been in power. So how do you hope to upstage, because now you have pretty much two parties ahead of you, the PDP and ABGA. So how do you hope to upstage these persons and come out victorious? Your party in general, in the states.
Thank you. I believe that the APC as a party stands a chance in these 2023 general elections. I mean, I believe our people also have seen the representation, the kinds of representation we've had so far in the last administration, even before this one. So perhaps this is the time for our people to begin to look at the qualities of the candidates that are representing them, that are flying the party ticket. In fact, I can tell you that this time around in Anambra State APC, we've produced the best candidates across board, whether at the senatorial level, whether at the level of the House of Representatives, and even the House of Assembly. We even have a representation of women. We have about 16 female candidates. So the issue of having women in representation, we're also doing that already at the level of producing female candidates to fly the party ticket. So we've produced good candidates and we'll stand a good chance to make a statement in Anambra State this time around. And I believe also our people who by now should begin to realize the importance of having even opposition voices in legislative houses of assembly, because it makes them have robust arguments, brings robust laws and effective leadership in terms of when you have all the whole candidates from one party or the governor's party, they tend to agree to everything the governor brings. And there's no scrutiny, there's no checks and balances, there's no oversight. So perhaps this is the time to begin to look at having opposition voices at the houses of assembly who can speak for the minorities and speak for the people and speak to the real issues that are happening.
That's fair enough. I would like to just ask you about some, your presidential candidates and the comments he made while campaigning in the East recently. If I remember correctly, I think it was Enugu or thereabouts. He mentioned saying to your region that, you have to complete the work, and that if he doesn't win, you won't be taken seriously. And then he uses a phrase, you won't get nothing but a soaked slice of bread. Speaking in terms of, I guess, parables and whatnot. Well, the message there that some people got was that he's saying that if you cannot deliver your votes to him, you won't be taken seriously, or you won't be given some certain dividends that you should get. How did that come across to you as a person from the region? Is it something to be offended by, or do you think people misunderstood what he meant to say?
Well, I think our presidential candidate was quoted out of context. In saying those statements, he was urging the party members, the party faithful, the leadership of the APC in our region, in Southeast, to do more, to work harder for the party. But, people like to see these things the way they want to see it, and try to quote people out of context and make those statements look like what it's not.
So is there no worry that if he doesn't get the required votes, there might be some sort of bad blood between himself and the region?
I don't think so. If you look at elections that were held in 2015 and 2019, our people, the Southeast, tend to support the People's Democratic Party, the main opposition party, more.
Yes.
But this time around, those things are changing.
So I mean, now
we have Ebonyi State governor in APC. We have in Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma in APC.
But some persons believe those governors are, they're not going to stay very long. I mean, I think the Ebonyi State governor is already in his second term, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but they say that those two states are just waiting to be flipped by the PDP.
That's absolutely wrong. In the Southeast today, there is no governor that's performed better than Governor David Umahi.
But most of that happened in the PDP.
I can tell you for free. David Umahi has been in APC in the past how many years? And he has been performing. You saw the president visit Ebonyi State and even stayed over. The president has visited Ebonyi State twice, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm correct, to commission several projects under Governor David Umahi. The same thing is happening in Imo State. This time around in 2023, it will not be business as usual. I can tell you for free. Our people are beginning to see the importance of having a party or joining a party at the national level.
That's fair enough. So I'd just like you to round up very quickly. We're almost out of time with something you feel that your perhaps people of your local government, the electorate should know, that you want to tell them right now as regards your candidacy and generally the elections. What is one message you really like to pass to them?
Yes, what I'd like to tell my people, my good people of Nnewi South Constituency 1, is for them to look at the candidates coming out. If you check the main candidates coming out in these elections or contesting in these elections with me, I stand tall above so many of them. This is not being proud this is in terms of qualification, in terms of my experience politically, and even in terms of having a ruling party at the center. I think I'll be able to do more for my people than any other candidate out there. So our people should begin to look at our antecedents, where this person is coming from, the character of the person, and look at the people who have been there and what they have done. And again, I think it is time to give the young people a chance to decide their destiny by themselves.
I think that's fair enough. Thank you very much for coming and for sharing your thoughts and your plans. Hopefully we can have a longer conversation some other time about your plans and generally about Southeast politics. I'm sure you're very versed in that matter.
It's
So
my
we'll
pleasure.
see you some other time. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's all we take now with our, what we've come to do now daily, which is speak with candidates at various levels. Like I said at the beginning of the program, we do have to focus on not just the presidential election, but every other election. It's more likely that your State House of Assembly member will have direct impact on the quality of life you have than perhaps the president on the national level. So you need to be very concerned about all the persons you should be voting for, State House of Assembly, your governor, your House of Rep member, your Senate, and the president. So do take care and get your PVCs if you've not done that already. This is how we end this segment of the program. We'll go on a short break. When we return, the Polity continues. Stay with us.